Maybe we should talk in a British accent.
Hello, friends. Hi.
What should we call this?
Oh
No! We don't have a name!
We will come up with a name and get back to you.
Soon.
I'm sweating now.
You're sweating?
Hi, friends.
This is gonna be impossible. Impossible. Alright, you start.
So we're really excited to bring you guys a little bit more video content, some vlogging. We want to take you behind the scenes a little bit more than what we have in 2019. So we thought we would start and tell you guys how we met, how we got started working together.
We wanted to make you feel like you're just hanging out with us all the time.
Come on in.
So this is the first one we figured we'd get started with, like the basis of Team Loverly Gray.
Exactly. I started Loverly Gray in 2016, and then in 2017 I went full time. And in the year of 2017 is actually when I met Anna through the internet.
It's a good place sometimes.
I was also friends with her sister, so I got to kind of meet her in person, and we all started hanging out with within a group, and just kind of like became really good friends that way.
Mm-hmm.
Then we took a trip to New York City. It's really funny. While we were in New York, one of my readers came up to us in the hotel and was like, "Oh my gosh, like you're Loverly Gray." Like, and we were just chatting, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, literally rounded the corner comes Anna, and she's like, "Would you guys like a picture? I'm her assistant." And I was
totally
like,
wasn't.
She had a full-time job. Like, we were not. This was not our setup. And so, you know, she takes our picture. We go about and I'm like, that was the coolest thing ever. So
life is an interview, folks. You have to speak things into existence. And at the time, I was looking for a job change. So like while we were there, I was kind of like talking with other people to just get like kind of an office job, whatever I could get. I was just kind of desperate for a change.
And I was like, don't do it. Because I wanted her to come work with me every day.
Right. It started out, we were sitting at John's Pizza. John's on Bleecker, if you haven't been.
You have to go.
Best pizza in New York. So we were sitting there, and Brittany was talking about how she like desperately, she was like, if you just like look in my inbox and my DMs, like there are hundreds of direct messages that I just can't, like I don't have the manpower to get to right now. And the other problem was that she was like, I can't have someone else do it because people don't know how to like respond. It's just hard to find someone who like gets that. My job was social media, so I was like, oh girl, let me help you.
Literally, I was like, I will buy your coffee this whole entire trip if you just help me in my direct messages. And so that little help that I was getting, I was like, please don't stop. Like,
and we were on a vacation, but it was like we'd be in a cab, and I would just like grab her phone and respond to DMs. Little did she know I was interviewing.
And it was working.
And I showed her that life could not go on without me at Loverly Gray.
So true.
And it worked, literally. That was at like the very beginning of the trip. And then towards the end, we were both kind of like, I was trying not to get my hopes up because I was like, what a life would that be? Like, that would be absolutely insane if that happened. And I think Brittany on the other end was like, can we make this happen? Like, I have to talk to Chris. Like, there's so much that has to go on. So we were kind of like, joking about it the whole time, and then at the very end of the trip, we kind of like realistically were like, okay, like
I was like, would you really do this? Like, is this like a joke?
And I was like, would you really let me? Am I being punked? Like this? What? That can't even be real. That's insane. Perfect God's timing for both of us and what we both needed at that time.
Yep. We got home. I convinced Chris.
Yep.
It was more kind of like a, hey, babe, like, here's this idea I have. And he was like, no. And I was like, yes.
That's the thing.
And
these are such dream crushers sometimes.
I know. Literally, I don't think he could, like, live without Anna now. So it's like.
Literally, Chris. Shout out to you, my man.
Prior to vlogging, I worked in the staffing industry. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this is like bringing me back. Like we're gonna go on like an interview dinner, and we're really gonna talk about this and like make sure like we have questions for each other. And she was interviewing me just as much as I was interviewing her. And we were like, so she like came, I feel like, with a list and was like, so what are your 5-year goals for life? I was like,
what?
Okay, this girl. So that's kind of how it all got started.
Yeah, we really decided from the very beginning that we were going to be teammates and that we were going to just pretty much like do whatever we needed to do. My technical title is creative assistant and project manager.
And then like 30 other things.
So we pretty much decided that we both cared for Lovely Gray and the brand enough to just like take it head on, whatever we needed to do. And people ask us all the time, like, what does a day in the life look like for the two of you? And honestly, the honest answer is we just go to Target and get coffee.
And drink Starbucks literally all day.
That's it. That's what people
I wish that was it.
That would be great. But what people don't realize, I think, is that if you, like Brittany said this the other day, if you take a business, you have the accounting department, you have web developing, you have PR, you have marketing, you have photography, you have the creative side. What am I missing? I mean, the admin.
Yes.
There's like the assistant work that we both do. There's responding to emails. There's pitching brands.
Yes.
It's everything. She's an editor. There's the whole creative side of it. And we hardly outsource. We outsource a photographer, and that's it. Like everything else between the two of us, we do. And so we decided early on, like, it needs 2 people because it is a full-time, never stops. And then there's the social media part of it too. Yeah. We didn't even touch on that. There's having to be the face. She's also modeling. There's that part too. She models all the clothes. It's so much more than, is it fun? 1000%. Like,
absolutely.
It is the absolute best, but there's always, like, it never stops. And there's 2 of us and like really Chris at times. And it never stops. Hardest part of 2018.
Yes. And there was a lot of like just figuring out how to work with another person. There was a lot of like personal things going on my side.
I'm a hot mess all the time, so like mine too, let's be honest.
But I think one of like the biggest challenges was just us figuring out like how to work with just one other person.
All the time.
All the time, yes. Like, coming from my corporate job, I had like 50 coworkers that I saw every day. Coming from your job, the same thing.
Always with other people.
So figuring out like our personalities and how to like, if I say something this way, like what's her reaction? Like just kind of like figuring out how to work with each other.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that normally with a new job, there's a huge learning curve with the actual job. And I wouldn't say that, there was a little bit, but I wouldn't say that as far as the job requirements were concerned for either of us. But I think the part that neither of us were expecting was just like the relationship. Like, again, this is my work life. Like, we're together 50 hours a week usually.
Yeah.
And then we travel together on top of that. So figuring out like how we interact with each other, more of like a personal side, was, I think, harder than the actual like job side of stuff. Because honestly, I was like, we should talk about what was hard in 2018, and Brittany was like, it was like the best year ever. Like, yeah.
Like, what was hard?
And the other part of it too was like coming in on the very front end when you were starting to go through your IVF stuff.
Yeah, I was like, hey, like, welcome to Lovely Gray. Also, Chris and I are trying to get pregnant. It's not really working.
It's not working right now.
I would get like the phone call that was like, I'm sorry, it didn't work this month. And I would just be like, okay. And she would just be like, come on in.
I know, it's like what?
It's okay.
And like that part of the interpersonal stuff too is like you've known someone really this closely for 2 months, and you're like, okay, so in crisis, like, how do you respond to stuff? Like, how do you like to be comforted? Like, what can I do? How can I help? Are you a hugger? Like that kind of thing. I think threw us into a place to where it's like, all right, you two are like this.
Yeah.
Like, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely.
You're going to be.
it forced us there.
Absolutely.
And like, but in the best way.
Yeah. And then once everything started, like, you want to talk about going to a new level, we went in June to New York, and Brittany was going. You were actually, that was the day after you found out you were pregnant.
Yes.
We left for a
found out I was pregnant.
Polo
Got on a plane.
that was sponsored by a champagne label.
Good timing.
But we left, and she was going through her, if you've gone through IVF, you know, like all the rounds of shots you have to go through. And Chris, she had to get them every night. Guess who was up for the challenge to give her a shot in her butt? Yes. I was. So we're like FaceTiming lovely Chris and like, hey, here with your wife.
Is this right?
And her butt. And Brittany at that that night you were like, I don't think the needle goes, like the needle's like this long. She was like, I don't think that goes all the way in. And I was like, Chris is looking at me like,
and I was like,
okay, yeah, all right, here we go. It ended up working out, but yikes.
It's like her saying that she says all the time, if you do something or say something with confidence, like people will believe you. And so I was like,
true.
Okay, she's got this.
When we first started working together, Brittany was like, can you edit videos? I'm like, yes, I can. I'm Googling, how do you edit videos? Just teach yourself stuff. You learn along the way, which has been like the whole basis of this. Like, this is a self-made business.
Absolutely.
The whole thing. You didn't know anything about blogging or SEO, maybe? I don't think
Nothing.
so. Like, but we've just learned along the way. So 2018 was a blast.
We had a really good time.
We did. Like, we traveled a lot.
We worked so hard.
And we played
really hard. But I think that's the thing that people don't necessarily understand, is like how from the outside it looks like we're shopping all the time, we're going on these trips all the time, and they don't see like all the hard work that's allowing us to do all that. Or if we are going on a trip, there's, you know, a list of 20 things that we're required to do while we're there, and then when we get back, that, you know, so it's not just like, oh, another vacation. But that's the fun part, is because we love like creating content and doing these experiences so we can tell you guys about that. So
we've also become pros at like mentally turning it off. So like we went to Vero Beach in July, I think, and that was one of our vacations where we really were just able to like relax, and we told ourselves everything else up to that point and the trip we had been on had been like pure work. Like, we do the things we're supposed to do, and then we come back and get on our computers and work at night, and it's just all work. But that trip, we mentally gave us time to, like, one day we sat on the beach and we read for like 6 hours. We didn't even talk to each other. We just sat on the beach and read. So I think it's a game of like being able to mentally turn it off when it's appropriate. When you need to unplug, that's how we do it. We just have to like flip a switch.
Gosh, can we get back to that?
I think that needs to happen. Email them. What are some of our catchphrases of 2018? We've picked up so many mannerisms from each other, it's not even funny. Brittany mine are always like professional from Brittany. She's taught me more about sales stuff in the last year than I've learned in my entire life. So I always go, because in email she says, I'm happy to do this. And so the other day to Nathan I went, I'm happy to do that. And he was like, are you? What?
That's like yesterday when I was like, I mean, I'm happy to relax, but you know.
We're talking about getting to the spa 30 minutes early. I mean, I usually just come in like right before. I mean, I'm happy to relax if I need to.
She's like,
oh,
you're
are
happy
you?
To relax.
Okay, thank you. Wow. So that's really it for today. It's kind of long-winded, but it's been a fun year. For sure. I look back on it and it just feels like a dream. Like,
we did so many cool things. It is kind of long-winded for our first little video here, but I think it's all really good information that we get questions on all the time. Like, what does it look like? How'd you guys meet? I think it's good.
We're going to do more of these. We're going to cover a lot of different topics. We'll probably do some Q&As on Instagram to see what you guys want us to talk about.
Have to get ready for that. Maybe that can be the next one.
Ooh, YouTube's not ready for that.
Truly is.
Goodbye.